Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's a chess show on Pod TV. My name is Sasha Starr, and today's guests are Professor Ken Regan. Welcome to the show.
Very much for having me on again, and welcome to my home.
Excellent. And also welcome Dan, who is the Grandmaster in Correspondence Chess. Please welcome to the show.
All right, thanks. Happy to be here.
Great to see you. Okay, Ken, I would like to start with a discussion about upcoming, actually ongoing, this great
Yeah.
960 Fischer chess.
Right. So the great thing is this weirdly named GOAT freestyle chess. Now I must start with a little complaint about their use of freestyle. Freestyle originally meant teams of humans playing with computers. In other words, being allowed to cheat. That was actually a change from Kasparov's name Advanced Chess. But the PAL CSS freestyle tournaments in 2005 to 2008 are still the biggest examples of this genre. But then that type of freestyle chess became called centaur chess, which is maybe more apt. Humans riding a computer, like a centaur person and horse. So maybe that freed up freestyle to be used for this idea of just playing fresh chess 960. But as far as freestyle goes, chess 960 is not totally free because the setup of the pieces has to be the same for both sides. Anyway, this does have a lot of the world's top players and is currently at the final stage where Magnus Carlsen and Fabiano Caruana have drawn their first game. But I'm going to show a game that Magnus Carlsen won in the semis against Norbek Abdusattorov at this kind of chess. So right away, we see wildness. We see the chess pieces, but not in their standard positions. However, they are symmetrical. The two rules that have to be followed are the bishops are on opposite colors and the king is between the rooks. And the Fischer, this type of chess was invented by Fischer, adjusting ideas that David Bronstein and Paul Benko had before him. And it was mainly the Fischer castling rule that was the intellectual contribution. So the final position of castling is the same. So if White's pieces, White's queen on E1 and bishop on G1 clear out, White will be able to castle kingside by moving the king here without moving the rook. So the final position of castling is the same. It's just the origins of the pieces are not the same. And if, again, various pieces clear out of the way, White would be able to castle queenside by moving the king here and White's rook hopping over to the yellow square. Again, so that the final position of castling is the same. All other rules, en passant in particular, are the same as in standard chess. But the strategy can differ. And here, Carlsen made a very weird move. He's been doing this as White, and he's been calling it the Grove opening. If I were White here, I would probably play C4 to allow White's bishop to have air, or E4 because White's queen is behind it. But anyway, Carlsen played G4, which I don't know creates.
He plays G4 because he's Carlsen.
Yes, that's probably right.
There's no other good reason to play that.
And he does get to put the knight behind the pawn, and now this is fairly strong, getting squares on the king side. And Black just decides to go for a slow build up, but now Carlsen attacks the center, and now already Chess.com's Chess 960 computer doesn't like Black's knight B6 move.
Why wouldn't Black take the pawn on D4?
Let's see. In fact, that's the move it makes, and Chess.com's computer already thinks that Black would have a little pull if you took White's word for it. So Carlsen was intending to play the global king gambit, I guess, or whatever. I don't know what you would call that.
So all chess 960 positions offend my sense of the aesthetic.
Yes, and I'm going to show you Tyler Cowen saying exactly the same thing. So after we see this game, we'll discuss it. But anyway, black played this, which seems like a natural enough move. And the other thing is, I don't believe that chess engines are really able to give reliable evaluations in the first few opening moves until the position makes contact in some way. So that's one reason I begin my own analysis at turn 9. Completely standard choice I made 17 years ago and followed through with. So F3 gets a question mark. The computer wants Carlsen plays C3, but I don't know. F3 is opening the bishop to guard D4. It doesn't look like a bad move to me. And well, the engine likes black capturing on D4, I guess, to drive white's pieces back. But okay, so that's actually maybe a little surprise, giving up the bishop for the knight. But now white's knight has some good squares, and already we have some irrationality in the position. Will white be able to sink a piece on D4? Well, no, black takes care of it right away with D5. Sink a piece on D5, but white will be able to gain control over the D4 square, most likely. Okay, so yeah, well, one must say something. The moves have not been seen before. They are highly creative, and the position is actually quite level. Even though I think actually I would say white would be in trouble here. White's less developed. Black has 2 bishops. So well, E3 is maybe getting white in trouble. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, black has exemplary central command here. Just has to get the knight on H8 into the game. But white is.
So Ken, if this had been a normal game of chess, the commentary here would be that white has completely mismanaged his opening.
Yeah. Yeah, even if white's king were on E1, so that white could still castle queenside. And here's one thing, white isn't going to play knight D4 immediately because E3 is weak. Anyway, black played this, which maybe was trying to relocate the bishop to C5, but maybe taking the foot off the gas pedal a little bit. Oh, B4, okay, another creative move. Now black forces a defensive move. H5, another question mark move. This looks like a good attack for black, but who knows? Now, it doesn't like the very natural knight D4 move. Says instead that white had F5, breaking up black's position. Well, tactics. Knight D4 is certainly a natural move. And now black allowed F5. And this was given as a mistake. I frankly don't understand why. Oh, because if black takes on F5, then white captures on E6, and things are going to be skewered along the F5 to E6 diagonal. Okay, so that's the real dynamic of the position, which means, let's see, but black could not play F5 itself. There just wasn't enough firepower on that. So what black should have done was play H4 to deflect white's knight away from control on F5, and then black will be able to defend. Here we go. Now, white has established a beachhead, and interestingly enough, black's king is in more trouble than white's is probably the result of this outcome. So now here we go. White is actually now white's position looks a lot more coherent. Okay, well, that was a tactically mistaken move. Allows black to get the knight into the game, and he does. So white lops it off. Okay, so now it's 2 bishops against 2 knights, and white isn't prosecuting an attack real soon. The 2 knights are nice. Here we go. And now this queen E4, I guess, is a game-losing blunder. Let's see. Is that what we're going to say here? Black should have just captured on A5 and then played queen A4. So what's the difference? Okay, so black should have done it this way. Mm-hmm. So what's wrong with here? White captures. and white gets the pawn on b6, and that's a thorn in black's side. In fact, checkmate is coming. That's what black. This is, by the way, played at rapid time control. So here's checkmate coming. And, well, so what should white have done instead of king e3, king d2?
Oh yeah, to block with the knight.
To block with the knight. But then black still would have would have captured pawns. Okay, so black took captured, played rook e8. I don't know. Let's see. Why does this game end in 2 more moves? Oh, because of that. Okay, and now Avtasadarov gave up, or maybe fell on time. But white is suddenly totally winning. Can we tell why? Well, white, let's see. Why is white totally winning? Is black unable to king f2, f5, knight e6 is coming. I don't necessarily understand what's bishop e7 winning, just winning material. I must say I'm a little bit mystified, except I do know that black maybe can't stop white from infiltrating here. This takes some looking at tactics. So there's nothing wrong with bishop e2 check. So it's a question of okay, so black plays a normal move, white goes to e6. Why can't black defend this? Bishop e4 and knight takes c4. They're all coming up with desperate moves for black. So obviously there's something desperate going on here. Let's just play this. How's the hammer fall here? Oh, nice.
Knight 5.
Yeah, and I guess you're just losing stuff. Okay, you play rook d8, and then it's knight d. Oh, haha! This is mate. That's why.
Oh, whoops.
Anyway,
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so I'm forgetting that
it's just that weakness on the back rank. You have to choose between getting mated on the back rank or losing the b pawn with mate, or maybe getting bishops forked and.
Yeah. So anyway, so black still had time left. So Doderbek just was able to analyze this position and tell that it was hopeless. Here's just the final position from the first match game of Carlsen versus of Caruana. Caruana did not play the Grove, and this is another starting position. So I'll scroll through this game, maybe without comment. We'll see how long it takes this game to look like a rational chess position. And I think it especially will after the players castle. So there's white castling. The Fischer, the final position of castling is the same. Let's see if black castles or does black get his rook out. Okay. Okay. So now it's still irrational with black's rook on a8. Let's see how black fixes the problem. Oh, and capturing the knight and capturing both ways was bad. Wow, what's going on here? Black should have captured with the rook. Okay, I can't think of anything more natural than recapturing with the bishop. Okay, so now is where you would say the game looks rational. And having established rational chess, they draw in about 10 more moves.
Yeah, this could have been a Berlin Rui.
Yeah. That's or black is one pawn over here, but yeah. So
I feel that as much as it's interesting to see these games while they're being played, it's complete waste of time to see them once they're already finished and result is there, and you are trying to analyze. There is no patterns of any kind. In first games that we saw, in my opinion, they're played at the level of 2200, if so. And this game, there's nothing to talk about it again. So this kind of a preposition, the only thing is that essentially, okay, it's chess where the great aspects of memory are being completely eliminated. There is no memory because each position is very different from others, and of course, it's unique and distinct, and you have to find out any viable moves at the board. Um, I don't know really. Um, it's again, as I said before, it's great to watch the games while they are being played. Other
Yeah.
than that, I'm quite negative about this variant of chess.
What I'm showing on the screen are the opinions of Tyler Cowen. He's a noted economist who co-runs the Marginal Revolution blog, a chess master. He was a childhood friend growing up in New Jersey, and we were in chess teams together. He's 3 years or so younger than I am. But here's his opinion on his blog on Monday about this. So Reasons says, at least prior to the end game, I don't understand what's going on. He makes as 1B the point that if the players play into an irrational position, then the fact that they're playing into it makes it interesting. But just having an irrational position descend from the sky is not so interesting. Okay, so then he complains that the younger players have a notable advantage. And I don't know, this could be something for me in my current seminar to test. Whether younger players of the same rating are better at calculating concrete variation. Can we get a profile difference between young players and older players of the same rating? Is there a commonality? But now it says what people really want to see is Steph Curry going against LeBron James. We want to see Magnus and Fabiano again. Well, Tyler got his wish. I'm sure I think there are more games with Magnus and Fabiano coming up. Then says Fischer random chess is disjoint from history. He doesn't like the weird rule for castling. Now, Tyler agrees that opening prep is insanely out of control. And Tyler does, by the way, say with increment, of course, those contests consistently exciting and they're not forced draws. With the lesser tie, you could play something weird against Petrov, and they're not as dominated by prep, which, by the way, is another predicate that I could test. But so far, I agree with it. I use an approximation of 12 for elite rapid, and an approximation of move 14 for elite classical, and that 14 I think is going to be 15. And then and then Tyler says he'd rather randomize the first few opening moves rather than the placement of the pieces. Now, I myself have been an advocate for something that was originally closer to Bronstein and Benko's idea, which would give the players the freedom to arrange their pieces on the back rank, subject to king between rooks and bishops of opposite colors. Okay. And this, to me, would be more in accord with the meaning of freestyle, because you're free to choose a pattern. And you might think it would be automatic to put the bishops in the corner and the rooks near to the center with just the king between them. But that's not, bishops in the corner is not necessarily evaluated best by chess engines. I've had some interesting dialogue about that. There's a comment about that somewhere here.
Ken, do you believe that this has to be symmetrical position after?
No. That's the point.
Okay, I would go even further. I would eliminate castle whatsoever, so the king can be elsewhere in the corner or whatever you want to put it, and just play the game without castling. What's the problem with that?
Yeah, you could do that. So the main point, no, it's not symmetrical. And one other thing is, for this reason, the opening 8 moves favor black, and that black commits last.
Yeah.
And especially with what you say about castling, it means that black could guarantee a position with kings on the opposite sides of the board if black was in a needing to win and on demand situation.
But what's interesting is that in this variant of chess, let's call it Bronstein chess, there would be some opening preparation, because obviously there will be established the best way of set up your pieces sooner or later.
Maybe, yeah, it's good. That's a good open question. Or is it reactive? So
No,
it
I
might.
think so. If you have a big computer, it's actually relatively trivial to,
Mhm.
in fact, a company like DeepMind could quickly build an engine, put in the rules, and within 8 hours, I suspect it would tell you what the optimal opening positions and have an engine crafted to play optimal strategy.
Okay,
Mhm.
in this
But I
case,
mean, computers and machine learning are so much more powerful now than
okay,
they were even 10 years ago. That
okay,
these things are straightforward to set up and solve.
okay.
Yeah.
I would like then to a little bit to change rules. I would like to suggest that the game starts with the white putting any of the pieces on a first rank. Okay. Now the black will have two moves to put two pieces anywhere he wants it,
Mm,
and the white's turn also to put two pieces wherever he wants
that's
to.
an
Right?
idea, also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like a snake draft.
Yeah. That's right, and that would lessen
That's a standard thing.
maybe lessen Black's advantage in the opening part
Yeah,
of this. But yeah,
but but
that's
the,
also possible.
but that would provide much more creativity that playing dubious positions from the move one and trying as soon as possible, if possible at all, to get that into normal chess patterns. And but again, while the game is being played, I found it's quite interesting. But to
Yeah.
analyze and see these games, yeah, Dan, I agree with you that this is almost like
Mhm.
struggling with your chess tastes and
Yeah.
aesthetics and anything.
That's right. Yeah. This may be a little more like normal chess. I did play 2 games against Hikaru Nakamura like this
Oh
when
yeah.
I visited the US Open in 2007. And I
Mhm.
was actually winning the first game. He was very surprised, but he outplayed me from that point on. And then he
I mean,
crushed
that's
me
the
in the second.
story of 99.9% of Nakamura's games. He goofs around in when he's not taking things seriously, right? Or when
Yeah.
he's so it's
Yeah.
like because he's Nakamura or because Carlson is Carlson.
Yeah.
They don't really have to like give it
Right.
their all until
And I played
I
one game
remember.
this way against Jan Elvest, and he set up his pieces on the standard square, saying it's a good arrangement. So anyway, so
that's
uh,
wonderful.
I remember in several years ago in Toronto, there was a fundraising event for Gary Kasparov, and so it was a social event. So he was talking to everybody, and I was playing a blitz game against him, and I had black pieces, and he was talking to people or so. And after 6 or 7 moves, he looked at the position and stopped talking and crushed me in about the next few moves. But before that, I had a quite viable position.
yeah.
Remember the check opening d4 c5 d5 e5, and I had a playable position for a while, but not for long.
So Sasha, that's the great thing about chess, right? In chess, so my over the board rating is somewhere in maybe like the top, depending on what you're looking at. The top few, maybe the top 10 percentile or something like that. Let's say it's in that neighborhood. So strong tournament player, not competitive with professional grandmasters. But if someone doesn't have the names by the boards, and I'm playing, let's say, Ding, okay, Ding Lijin. For the first, maybe if I'm lucky, maybe the first 12 to 15 moves or so, they're not going to be able to tell, who's the world champion and who's a guy who's really doesn't belong in the same category. If you're playing a sport like tennis or so, they know on the first serve because the ball goes like this, and one of the guys is standing there, and it's
Mhm.
so
Yeah, you would be
that's
disqualified
the
right away.
attractiveness of chess. With a little bit of knowledge, you can be competitive for 5, 10, 12
And
years.
this is a great thing about chess that you can play against even world champion and still get out of the opening after maybe 8, 10
If you're
moves.
lucky.
It's still about
If you're
equal.
not lucky,
Well,
you get mashed in like 7 or 8 moves. I've had that
well,
happen.
guess what? But if you go, for example, in the ring against Mike Tyson,
Mhm.
right, and you're
Yeah, one
demolished,
punch.
in the second,
One punch.
you're
Yeah.
not there. You're no longer there. I mean, you're still lying there, and you're probably alive, hopefully, but nothing more than that.
Yeah, the differences appear more subtle until there comes a certain point. Yeah. Anyway, so I will just say that I don't watch Chess 960 events. I'm not interested in Chess 960 events. I'm not interested in playing Chess 960. That's because I find kind of the continuity, the symmetry, the history, the depth of chess is what really fascinates me. The idea of sitting there and just calculating, like, well, what's the best move or how can I trap someone, has never really interested me, which is one of the reasons why I'm a much stronger correspondence player than over the board.
Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't plan to watch this 960 tournament, except that my wife is watching every day for hours. And, when she's watching, I started to watch as well. And while I'm watching, I found it's quite interesting.
If you find it entertaining, then that's fabulous, right? I mean, people should do what interests them.
Yeah, whatever interested. I found it's more interesting to watch CNN. Yeah. Anyway, listen, I would like to thank you very much for today's program. We'll definitely talk more about it. And I'll have to also put a little bit more thinking about really all what it is, and including Bronstein's variation. And it's quite interesting. I'll tell you that I was watching today interview with the organizers of this tournament. He is planning huge events in 2025, including Grand Slam tournaments in 960 chess, and he has plans to actually getting that as a centerpiece of the chess world, and all the rest, like rapid and normal chess and so on.
I wish I had sponsorship to fund the tournament with my variant anyway. So
okay, we'll talk about it.
I mean, my standard response in cases like that is knock yourself out.
Okay, I'll see. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everybody. See you same place.
All right, take care, everyone.
Next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.